necessarily present a Firefighter of the Year award every year. I personally spend time talking to folks to look at individuals that really, stand out and reach that bar. Again, this is a single individual. It's one award for someone in the entire department. The award is for superior performance and dedication to the protection of life and property, commitment to the values and mission of CAL FIRE, and to the safety and well-being of fellow firefighters, demonstrated ability to work as a member of a team, the achievement clearly and unquestionably above normal requirements. Considerations include the degree to which employee expends personal effort beyond that normally expected, including on-the-job activities as well as community service. I would like to ask Battalion Chief Darren Quigley to come forward. So as Chief Anso talked about in an earlier presentation, there were actually a number of firefighters, CAL FIRE firefighters that were community members that were actively engaged in this firefight, this Bulls fire that started in Weed at 1:30 in the afternoon on September 15th. And for all those that lived it with us this year, we had periods of fire sieges. It wouldn't necessarily compare to 2008 or Southern California in 03 or 07. But we had these periods of elevated activity, multiple large fires, and then just a continuous fire activity really throughout the fire season. And again, it was unprecedented, 1,000 fires more than the average by the time we ended the year last month. And it's a credit, and most people don't see this. I say it everywhere I go to the administration and to our partners and to the public that, yeah, there were 1,000 more fires than we would normally have on an average year, but the acreage was less. And at the peak of fire season, we're responding to over 200 fires a week as CAL FIRE around the state. What's happening, obviously, is that we're putting fires out. I mean, that's what we do. That's who we are. That's not going to change, and that's what we're proud of. It takes a lot of effort to do that. Obviously, it takes work to get the resources, and we spend a lot of time working on those things. In Sacramento, working with our partners, the legislature, the administration, et cetera. And certainly, we're pleased to get extra resources to help in that fight this year in these unprecedented dry conditions. But what really accomplishes that on the ground is where the rubber meets the road, and those folks that, all of you and so many others that are doing that day in and day out, responding to these fires. And the Bulls fire in Weed, again, it was no different than any other fire day in California. Local wind conditions, local fire weather factors. We had other fires going on, as you heard from Chief Anso, the King Fire in El Dorado County. We were doing what we do. It was a fire day in California. What was unique about this fire is that the acreage was really very small compared to all the other fires we were having, around the state, 516 acres. But the fact that it was so close and centered, on a community, a rural community, and it was burning in and around structures and not just homes, but in the economic base for a community. You heard about the Roseburg Mill and the efforts to save that, and those efforts that were shown by not only CAL FIRE personnel, but by all kinds of folks, local law enforcement, neighboring fire departments, et cetera. This was truly a community disaster that, again, 516 acres might just be overlooked when we talk about the 100,000 acre King Fire or these fire sieges, sand and wind driven events in Southern California that burned thousands of acres. But to the community of Weed, 516 acres, over 100 structures, lives impacted, it is a huge disaster. So you put yourself in a perspective of folks like Chief Quigley, CAL FIRE personnel, local public safety folks, you're just getting up on an average day doing what you do, and then this fire starts in your community. So as the on-duty battalion chief, Chief Quigley responds to this fire, resources responding. He could probably tell you a lot more detail what happened, but when this fire was over, and I was getting word from Chief Larkin late in the day that afternoon that this fire was burning, and again, we were dealing, when you're in Sacramento and you have a fire 30 miles, 40 miles to the east that you can see that's burning 50,000 acres in a day, it's hard to get people to pay attention to what's going on, 300 and 400 miles to the north. But Chief Larkin's on the phone to say, we have a significant fire. We have employees whose homes are being burned. We have active firefight going on. It's in this community. Well, as the day unfolded, what really came to light was that we had employees that had gone above and beyond to continue to do their job, to protect their community, to take care of their neighbors, ensure people are safe, without regard for their own well-being, their own personal property. And within a day or two, I went to Weed with some of the other leadership in the administration to start working on recovery and to provide what state support we could to the community and to local officials. And as part of that visit, we took a tour. And again, the full weight of this really hadn't even set in with me as to the impacts that had occurred. Took a tour of the impacted fire area, and those that have been in these areas, time and time again we've seen it, but we literally went out to a neighborhood that was nuclear, it was ground zero for this fire. There was literally nothing left but a few chimneys and foundations. And as we looked and walked through, looking at these, what was left of these properties, several individuals started showing up in cars. And as we were standing there talking to other folks, I soon realized that several of these were CAL FIRE employees that lived in this neighborhood. And as we were they were just returning and seeing what was left of everything they owned in the world for the first time. And as we were leaving the area, I stopped and saw Chief Quigley there with several other members of the department, and he was surveying his property. And I was with a group that I didn't have control over where we were going, so I didn't have time to stop very long. But we rolled, Daniel Berlant and I were in the car, we rolled the window down, and I looked at Darren, and having seen Darren several times prior this summer because of the fire activity, we just spent a lot of time in Siskiyou, but I rolled the window down and I said, Darren, I don't even know what to say. And he basically took a little bit of time in his extremely humble but proud way to talk to me about what had happened. And within seconds, it was very clear to me who our nominee and who would be receiving the Firefighter of the Year award. So put yourself in the position, again, going back, this fire's going down, he's the responding chief officer. He has access to all of the resources that he needs at his disposal. He is the commander of that fire. And so he has the ability to put resources wherever he needs them, wherever he wants them. He can order as much as he wants. I suspect that Chief Ansel will probably call him if he gets a little too crazy, but at the end of the day, we place all the responsibility in our first in, either arriving company officer or ultimately that chief officer that takes command of that fire. And he knows where this fire is. He realizes, having being a local in that county for years, having worked in that unit, recognizes what this fire is doing, recognizes the potential, and makes some tactical decisions as to where he has to cut this fire off, using aviation resources and ground resources, ordering appropriately. But just like any battle, just like any firefight, we're fighting the fire to where it's going to be, not where it is now. Because if we fight it where it is now, it will already be past that by the time we get the resources there. So he's ordering resources and deploying tactical objectives based on where this fire is going to protect the rest of the community. Knowing full well that the homes, the structures, the communities that he is writing off very consciously is his home amongst many others of his peers, as well as Weed City PD officers and many other community members that live there. And again, it goes back to the character that you have the ability to make any decision that you need to as the incident commander. Could have ordered resources in there, could have put all the aviation resources, he could have done everything thinking about himself to protect his home. But what he did, and he will tell you that he just did his job, well, he certainly did that, but what he did above and beyond that was brought integrity and the ability to make a decision at the expense of his own loss. And that doesn't come every day, that breadth. And this is nothing new for Darren. Again, we spent several trips to Siskiyou County this year, and a number of stories came through. Again, when resources, there was one Saturday night where we had so many fires going, we weren't sure how to get more incident command staff out to support the fires that were going. We were looking at robbing from one fire to another, and again, after sitting down and listening at one of the incident debriefings, it was very clear that one name kept coming up. Darren Quigley, on several fires, was performing every function. Operations, logistics, all of those things on multiple fires at the same time in his county, because he didn't have, there just weren't resources and personnel available to do that. And when you talk to him, and I had a chance to talk to him that day, I was just doing my job. I did what I needed to do. I made the right decisions. And because of his leadership and the resources getting there, they did save the community. Yes, there were losses, but you heard about the valiant efforts that saved the bulk of the Roseburg Mill. Well, the rest of the town, after this fire was cut off because resources were deployed in a strategic place to do that, recognizing a serious loss, were the decision. And at times when you're the incident commander, solely your decision. In this case, it was the decision of Chief Quigley. And I cannot say how honored I am to personally present the award to Chief Quigley. Just an absolute phenomenal chief officer, individual, and again, makes CAL FIRE